Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Board Games Are For Everybody. This time we are going to be taking a look at Imagine, the visual charades game by Gamewright. This game is typically for 3 to 8 players. We usually just play with 2. Typically all the games we play as 2 players, or we make a 2-player mode. But this game came out in 2016. This is one that we actually found in a thrift shop, which we do quite often. We find a lot of games in thrift shops, surprisingly. This is one that we just thought was an interesting concept, so we decided to pick it up. Basically, the rules of the game are the same as charades. It is charades with a bunch of cards. So, well, if I can get all this stuff, apparently everything is very mixed up in here. Got our little point tokens here. Just push all that out of the way for the time being. Try and get these cards, which all of our points have kind of gotten into our finger hole here for the cards. Okay. Oh, we just got points in the cards too. Get out of here. So, it's basically charades with cards. As you can see, each of the different cards have a number from 1 through 8. They are double-sided cards with different categories that you need to try and charade. But in this instance, you're not actually acting things out. You are using apparently a lot of points. They just like getting everywhere. You are using this deck of cards here in order to construct whatever it is that you're trying to charade. So the activity category on this card is a vacuum cleaner. So you would want to do your best using all of these different cards to try and charade what vacuuming might be like. And there are a lot of cards. So, I'll just try and get some of these out here. There are a lot of cards. This definitely takes up a lot of table space if you want to get everything spread out. Gonna very slowly spread stuff here. Let's go with this. So, you wouldn't be restricted to how many cards you can use, but you could do that. You could deal out a certain amount and try and have to charade your vacuuming with that. And if I was doing it with these cards here, basically what I would do is I would use, if I can pick it up, man, these cards are hard to get. I'd use this flag here with this person here. We'd actually flip this around so that it is now a person holding, well, it looks more like a dustpan than a vacuum cleaner, but you kind of get it. So they are going around, sucking up just everything. Let's say we got this duck here. They could be going around, sucking up the duck, and it is now a thing. They could be coming over to this garbage can. They could be dumping out the vacuum cleaner into the garbage can. They could be going along here, maybe whistling a tune. If I can pick this card up, there we go. Whistling a tune while they're doing their vacuuming. Basically, nothing's off limits while you're going through this stuff. You're allowed to act out the cards. You're allowed to do actions. You're allowed to do whole skits so long as you're doing the cards. You just aren't allowed to say, obviously, what your object is or use words like typical charades. But I really think that this concept with the cards and having to kind of mime stuff out using all of these different cards, and there's a lot of cards. You can see this deck is pretty big. There's like a car, there's a little fire symbol back here. There's a bunch of different people cards in different positions and motions and stuff like that. You've got like skulls, you've got whatever the heck this thing is supposed to be. If I can get to it, these are all transparent cards, so it's hard to tell where this thing is. whatever this thing's supposed to be, some sort of alien thing. There's a lot of different things you can do here, and you can combine cards to make them look like something else. A lot of the time when we play the game, we don't actually end up miming stuff out. We just end up trying to make the picture of what it is that we're trying to get figured out. Now, some of these can be a little hard to figure out. Obviously, if you don't know what a certain action or what a certain category thing is, then it's pretty hard to mime that out with the cards if you don't know what it is. So at least there are a lot of different cards. The way the game works by the rules is that you choose a card. So let's say we get this card, and your opponent would choose from 1 to 8. Now, once they choose that number, you look down on your thing and you decide which one you want to do. Stuff like Rocky, that would probably be a hard thing to do. Now, you do give your opponent a category, which is good. You give them the category. You just don't tell them, obviously, what the answer is. So at least with Rocky, so they aren't just guessing boxing over and over again, because that's probably what you would end up guessing is someone boxing. You can at least tell them it's a movie. So now you've got a boxing movie, which I don't think there are that many of. There are boxing movies, but I mean, Rocky's the big one, right? You got stuff like a tuba, but like songs, Help. I don't even know what Help is. This came out in 2016, so maybe it was a popular song back then, but I've never heard of Help, the song. So something like that, you would never be able to do. Something like a race car driver, not your typical job, would probably end up, you'd have someone just driving a car over and over again. Just someone driving a car. But you could find other cars to try and have them pass them, and you could get that feeling of a race car driver into your charade. Stuff like singing. Obviously, we had the music notes here. You could use the music notes as someone singing. Could be all sorts. Even this guy sitting down here, you could put these notes over top of him. All of a sudden, you got a singing person. And each time a person successfully guesses what it is that you're trying to do, they get a point. And you can just play to however many points. Once someone gets a certain amount of points, that's when the game ends. It's a good way to do it. Typically when we play, we just kind of play until we get bored. We just play the game until we stop being interested in it. And it's a fun time while we play. I think it's a really interesting addition or add-on experience, I should say, to charades. I think it really changes things up enough that you get the feeling of it being different. I think the cards are a really cool addition to the mechanic of charades, because it's not just you moving about. Not everyone likes moving about and kind of being silly, but something like this, you can sit down and be silly. That works, right? You can sit down and be silly. All is good. But yeah, that's pretty much it for Imagine. It's a fun time. I think it's a pretty cool little game to pass the time if you need something to do, or if you really like charades or Pictionary. Even it's kind of akin to Pictionary in ways. That is definitely a thing you could also compare it to. So if you like Pictionary, if you like charades, if you like just sitting and making photos out of cards to try and guess different category topics, such as a crane or the Bermuda Triangle. Any geography buffs out there, if you want to try and recreate the Bermuda Triangle out of cards, this is the game for you. Hey, look, we even got Sports and Leisure's board game. That's a little fourth wall breaking. But yeah, that's pretty much all we got for Imagine, guys. It's a pretty fun time. I think it's fun. I think you'll enjoy it as a time killer. Not to take it too seriously, but to just kind of sit down, have a laugh, and try and make some interesting little skits to get people to understand what it is you're trying to say. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, this review. And we're going to call them our abstract reviews because they're very, very freeform. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and hopefully I will see you all next time. But until then, just remember that board games are for everybody. See y'all then.